Hello and welcome to another Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the film Unicorns, directed by Sally L. Hosaini and James Krishna Floyd. Curzon called this film this summer's must-see romance. And yes, it is a romance, and the story is relatively predictable, but the film raises interesting issues which do give it a certain originality. This is a story that I haven't seen told before, and overall I did enjoy this film. Luke is a mechanic, a single dad who lives with his son and his own father. We see that Luke has a life that doesn't seem to have much colour or excitement in it. He works hard in his dad's business and his dad sits around reading the newspapers, giving him orders. Even when we see him having sex, it's a soulless affair. Then Luke meets Aisha, a South Asian drag performer, and he's taken by Aisha's beauty, but he doesn't realise she's a drag artist. He ends up kissing her, and then he's horrified when he finds out that she's not what he thought she was. Aisha instantly brings colour and excitement into Luke's life, even though at first he's very defensive and insecure in her presence. But he becomes her driver, so they start spending a lot of time together. As I say, it does get a bit predictable at times, but it's enjoyable all the same as the friendship starts to develop. He seems to connect with Aisha like no one else in his life, and he does start opening up to her. He has a journey in terms of opening up to being intimate with her. I don't know how often a situation like this has arisen, but it did seem to me to be like an authentic portrayal of how a relationship of this kind could develop. There are some bumps along the way which raise interesting issues in terms of identity and how real Aisha is with and without her mask. She looks very different when she's not in drag. You might think that someone who wears so much makeup and wigs to look completely different might not be authentic. But we see that Aisha is definitely at her most authentic when she's in drag. This is also about the difficulties of being true to yourself in a very religiously strict family. Sometimes when we try to conform what other people think we should be, we end up losing ourselves and becoming shut down, neither being ourselves or quite fitting into the family whose standards we're trying to meet. I think this film portrays this really well. We get an insight into being Gaysian and the complexities of a queer Muslim identity. And the two actors are great. I found them both convincing. The chemistry between them was really good, totally believable. The actor playing Aisha put in a particularly good performance, as Aisha was basically two characters, one in drag and the other not. As I say, the story does end up being rather predictable, but I don't think this film is trying to be anything more than primarily an entertaining romantic drama that raises interesting and fresh issues along the way. It's not amazing filmmaking, but I found it an enjoyable experience. And it doesn't sugarcoat the complexities around Luke being a single dad and Aisha not being accepted by her Muslim family. Although that said, while her mum can't accept Aisha's true identity, it's quite touching the way that she's still able to keep a connection with her. If I was to make a couple of criticisms about the film, I would say that first, I found the character of the dad too much of a caricature. And both Luke and Aisha's families were dysfunctional, but Luke's family just felt a little bit less authentic. That said, I did find the scenes with Luke's ex, the mother of his son, worked really well. The other critique is that it's perhaps a little bit long. It could easily have been 90 minutes instead of 2 hours. That said, though, I was never bored in this film. I did enjoy it. Overall, this is a film that does follow a familiar romantic formula, albeit in a queer context, which does actually give it some freshness, I've found. It's not groundbreaking, but it's very enjoyable. I would recommend this film. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.